The wind cut through the stalks like a razor, dry, sharp, whispering things that wasn't quite words. Sheriff Caleb Dunn leaned on his cruiser, staring out across that dead cornfield. Not a cricket, not a bird, just the hum of power lines and the taste of dust. "You sure you saw it out here?" he asked, voice low, hand resting on the butt of his revolver. The drifter beside him, woman named Ray, nodded once, her eyes steady, like she'd been living in that silence her whole life. "It wasn't no animal," she said. "It was digging. Like it knew where to dig." Caleb glanced at his watch. 11:59. The church steeple in the distance was just a shadow, but he could see the bell rope swaying on its own. He opened his mouth to say something, but the air shifted. The smell of dirt turned sweet like rotting fruit, and the wind stopped. Then came that first toll, deep, hollow, like it came from under the ground instead of above it. Ray froze. Caleb's flashlight flickered once, twice, then went black. From the dark cornfield came a rustle, slow and heavy, like something dragging chains through the dirt. Caleb drew his gun. "Stay behind me." But Ray didn't move. Her eyes were locked on the soil. It was breathing. That first bell still hung in the air, humming like metal on bone. Caleb's flashlight stayed dead, and the cruiser's headlights flickered twice before holding steady. "That ain't wind," he muttered. He stepped forward, corn snapping under his boots. Ray followed, slow, eyes darting between the rows. Every step sounded too loud, like the field was listening. Then came the second toll, closer, lower. The earth trembled, dust lifting off the ground like breath. From the dark, something rolled out between the stalks. A burlap sack, wet, heavy, tied with twine. Caleb knelt, hand hovering. "Animal?" Ray shook her head. "Count again." He tugged the twine loose. Inside, a hand, human, gray and stiff, fingers packed with soil. The third bell hit, louder. The corn behind them bent as if bowing. Caleb stumbled back, gun raised. Ray's breath came fast. "We shouldn't be here," she whispered. A whisper rose with the wind, thousands of voices hissing one word. "Feed." The cruiser engine roared by itself. Headlights swung toward them, blinding white. When the light faded, the sack was gone. Only a patch of damp earth left behind, still sinking like something had just swallowed it whole. Caleb looked at Ray. "That ain't possible." Ray's eyes reflected the glow. "Then you ain't from here." They followed the tire ruts out the field and onto the dirt road, headlights bouncing off the ditch line. Caleb's knuckles were white on the wheel. Ray sat stiff beside him, hand on her backpack, breath fogging the window. "You gonna call for backup?" she asked. "Ain't no signal out here," he muttered. The radio hissed static. Each crackle carried a faint bell chime underneath, too soft to be feedback. The cruiser lurched. Something heavy thumped under the tires. Caleb hit the brakes. Both doors flew open. In the ditch, half buried in wet clay, lay a man's body, bloated, gray, eyes open. The same twine that tied the sack wrapped his wrist. Caleb crouched, breath slow, gun drawn. "Recent," he said. "Hours, not days." Ray stepped closer, flashlight trembling. "Look at his badge." Caleb's jaw tightened. The corroded metal read "Done." "That's impossible," he whispered. The corpse's mouth twitched, soil spilling between his teeth. Then came the fourth toll, so loud it shook mud from the trees. Ray screamed, stumbled back. The body began to sink, dragged by the dirt itself. Caleb reached for it, but the ground swallowed his arm to the elbow. The whisper returned, louder this time. "Feed the ground." He yanked free, panting, fingers slick with blood and soil. "That was you," Ray said, eyes wide. "You're already dead." They took shelter in an old farmhouse at the end of the dirt road. The windows were busted, wallpaper peeled, smell of mildew thick. Caleb kept pacing, rubbing the arm the soil had grabbed. The skin there looked darker, like bruised fruit. "You're hurt," Ray said. "Ain't nothing," he muttered. But the veins under his skin twitched like worms. She found a trapdoor in the kitchen floor. Rusted hinges. Padlock snapped years ago. A faint draft rose from below, cold and sweet like rotten apples. "Somebody used this place," she whispered. Caleb knelt beside her, gun ready. They pulled the hatch open. A wooden ladder dropped into darkness. The smell hit first. Earth, iron, something human. They climbed down. The flashlight beam cut through dust motes, landing on jars lined along the wall. Inside each, soil mixed with something red. "What is that?" Ray asked. Caleb reached for one, lifted it close. A fingertip floated inside, pale and still. The fifth bell rang, echoing through the house like thunder underwater. The jar shook. Ray turned toward the ladder, but it was gone. Only packed dirt where the opening should have been. "Caleb," she whispered, "it sealed us in." He didn't answer. He was staring at his reflection in one of the jars. His eyes weren't his anymore. The jars started humming, real low at first, then louder, like the cellar itself was breathing. Ray backed against the wall, light shaking in her hand. "Caleb, what's happening?" He didn't answer. His left arm twitched. Veins bulged black up his neck. The hum turned into whispers, hundreds of voices pushing through the dirt, saying the same thing. "Time to feed." Caleb's flashlight slipped, glass shattering. Darkness swallowed the room except for the faint red glow leaking from the jars. The liquid inside started to boil. Ray's eyes darted to the ladder shaft. It was open again. Dirt pulled back like breathing lungs. But the air coming out was hot and it stank of blood. "Go," Caleb grunted, holding his stomach like something inside was moving. "Not without you." He looked up, sweat pouring, eyes fully gray now. "You don't get it, Ray." "It wants me. Always did." The floor cracked open beneath him. Hands, black with soil and ash, shot out, grabbing his legs. Ray screamed, reaching for him, but he smiled once, small and calm. "Tell him, the land don't forget." The hands yanked him under. The ground closed, leaving only his badge behind. The sixth bell hit. Deafening, final. The jars exploded. Ray ducked, glass cutting her cheek. Then silence. The dirt under her boots exhaled, and for a heartbeat, she swore it said her name. The sun crawled up behind the trees, weak and colorless, like it was scared to shine on what was left. Ray stood in the doorway of the farmhouse, clothes torn, dried blood on her cheek, smoke rising from the crater where the cellar used to be. The field beyond was quiet. No birds, no crickets, just the soft crackle of soil cooling after something hot had passed through it. She limped toward the ditch road, every step crunching on broken glass. Caleb's badge hung from her fingers. She couldn't bring herself to drop it. A shape moved in the corn. She froze. A hand, Caleb's hand, rose from the dirt, palm up, then fell still. "You said the land don't forget," she whispered. "Guess it remembers me now." The ground rippled once, like a heartbeat. She knelt, pressed her palm flat to the soil. For a second, it pulsed under her hand, then went still again. The seventh bell rang, faint, carried on the wind. It wasn't from the church this time, it came from below. Ray stood, eyes wet, face lit by pale dawn. Then, "I'll feed you myself," she said, voice flat. The camera pulls back, Ray alone in a sea of dead corn, her shadow stretching longer than the light should allow. The wind starts again, whispering that same word. Thanks for watching. If that story hit different, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Mystic Melanin is all about real black stories with a twist. A little truth, a little fear. Appreciate you being here. Be safe. And I'll see you next time.